One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free. From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart of steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. A metal mayhem that will never die. With engines roaring, he paves his way. A legend in the making, day by day.
Well. If we didn't have a busy freaking Monday morning, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. Great to see everyone in the chat, man. As you guys can see on the title here, Iran talks stall, as well as Netanyahu rejects Gaza deal. What that is, that 15-point plan that Trump put together. And then we have Tupac trial begins. We got a lot of shit going on. First, we're going to be actually discussing, let's first go into the chronological of what we're going to be discussing this morning. Salmonella outbreak linked to jalapenos are now affecting 27 states. I actually forget the number when we originally started reporting this story last week. I forgot how many states it was at then, but right now it's at 27 states, and we actually have the stats for you guys on that. Super unfortunate. Then we have Hunter Biden says Joe Biden's cancer is spreading, and he says, Hunter Biden is saying about his father, it's very painful and debilitating. Yeah, well, that's terrible. I wouldn't want that for anybody, including Joe Biden, by the way. We have Iran uses months-old video of Supreme Leader as, quote, proof of life. Well, we were actually just discussing how, there's many Iranian reports about the Supreme Leader, and most likely here's the thing. They're saying they're preparing for his death. So I'm not his near death. So I'm not really sure what's exactly going on there. There is not too much, there's not a lot of information for us out there, unfortunately, which, sucks. Then we have Russia, Ukraine exchange deadly overnight strikes. This happened. It looks like it happened on Saturday night. That's what it looks like on our side. Then we have Fauci contempt vote leaves DOJ options. Now, obviously, last week we were discussing all about the Fauci case and also finding him in contempt of Congress. And now it moves to the DOJ. Unfortunately, we haven't had many updates aside from that one. And I haven't even watched that update. So we're going to, find out together. Then we have a woman baby die. So a woman and a baby die after boat capsizes in New York Harbor. Man, that is sad. I hate hearing that kind of shit. Then we have U.S.-Iran latest. Fighter jets patrol skies over the Middle East. And that was coming out yesterday. And then we have Netanyahu rejects 15-point plan, peace plan in break with Trump. And yes, as you guys know, that happened 16 hours ago. We are learning more this weekend after reports that Israel is rejecting a 15-point Gaza proposal put forward by the Board of Peace. This news came from the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday. Netanyahu recently explained that Israeli forces will not withdraw from the enclave until Hamas gives up its weapons. Quote, Israel rejects the 15-point Gaza document proposed by the Board of Peace, Netanyahu said. Quote, the IDF will not carry out any withdrawal until Hamas is genuinely disarmed. See, I told you exactly this roundabout that we're going to get in with, especially with Gaza right now. So, well, I mean, that's Netanyahu's circle But nonetheless, it's shit. It's shit all the way around. Then we have new details released after boat capsized in New York, killing 2. That's talking about the mother and it sounds like a woman and a child died. It says a 22 foot speedboat capsized near Liberty Island on Saturday night, resulting in the deaths of a 27-year-old woman and her 5-month-old daughter, while 12 other passengers were rescued from New York Harbor, authorities said. How did they both die like that? I just don't. Well, we're going to find out together. Then we have Tupac murder trial. Jury selection begins today. This coming out 3 hours ago, by the way. Then we have Powerball jackpot tops $900 million. Says Monday's $905 million jackpot with a $391.9 million cash prize will be the 8th largest jackpot in Powerball history. Monday's drawing will be the 43rd consecutive drawing without a jackpot winner. The last Powerball jackpot was won on May 2nd when ticket holders in Florida and Texas split a $20 million prize. Man, that would be nice. Then we have Middle East latest. Iran vowed to block U.S. from Strait. Now, this is coming out just an hour ago. We have a lot of things developing as we're discussing right now. And another interesting story that just came out as well is a 7.4 magnitude earthquake shakes Colombia and Ecuador, it says a powerful 7.4, which is huge, by the way. A powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck Western Colombia on Monday, shaking the South American nation and neighboring Ecuador and prompting people to evacuate homes and buildings. I would imagine so because, their building structure codes and all that shit is probably not the best of the best. But anyways, quickly, let's go ahead and get our call to actions over with, and then we'll get into the madness. Make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. I very much appreciate it, and it's free to do so. This is what we do Monday through Friday, and of course, listen, we have members only on Saturday morning where we don't discuss any of this, BS. We have a good time. Speaking of members, please consider becoming a member starting only at $4.99 a month, making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. Little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, politics, all that great shit. It's a great way to get hold of me one-on-one, and we also have a Discord server for all you legends, where I actually break down minute-by-minute plays of what's going on in the breaking news segment in the Insane Wheel server. Make sure you guys go in the video description down below, and that's where you guys can find the invite link for that. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash,
denied.
Well, then we have these platforms that are scrolling around the screen at any time. You can donate to those where I get 100% of the proceeds. And, of course, we'll read out loud anything that comes our way, just like a normal super chat, so everyone gets read. All right. Good morning to everybody, man. What a mouthful. Hopefully everyone's enjoying themselves. We got, let's see, Blake's Pipes in the building for the very first comment this morning. Appreciate that. Saying smash that like. That's right. We got Easy Frank as well as Wildcard. Good morning to you guys. Good morning. We got Gary as well. Appreciate you for all hanging out with us. Rabbit F Chaos, chilling like a villain. Yes, ma'am. We got Mountain Woman as well. And Prez. Good morning. Appreciate you guys. We got KP as well as OG Steve Easy. Yes, sir. Got Gary saying smash that like. That's a fact, Jack. Let's see. We got Brother So Loud as well. Always appreciate you for hanging out with us. We got Naomi in the building as well as Charlie Rose. Good morning to you guys. All right. Crap. I need to fix my membership. Oh, you're all good, Naomi. Appreciate you. Brother So Loud is showing love from the boondocks in North Carolina. Appreciate you this morning for hanging. We got Carrie as well. Good morning. Appreciate you. We got VPS, my man. Always appreciate Rick from VPS. Morning, Mike and chat. Good morning to you. We got Virginia Chaos hanging out, chilling, maxing all cool, shooting some b-ball outside of school. We got GEG as well. Good morning. We're almost caught up. It looks like maybe. We got Two Wheel Jesus as well. Good morning. And it looks like now we're officially caught up. All right, let's go and get into the madness this morning. And Jamie Lindsay, good morning to you. Great to see you. All right, we're going to start off this morning with this salmonella outbreak linked to the jalapenos affects now 27 states. Now, I forget, when we originally brought this up last week, the beginning of last week, I forget how many states were affected at the time, but I feel like it was something like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, somewhere in that range. But now it says we're looking at 27 states, and I'm sure that they're going to have the stats on that as well. So here we go.
Thanks for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. Well, we have an update. Of course, there have been a lot of outbreaks associated with food within the last few weeks that people have been paying attention to. And yet another one is coming across our desk. I want to put this up on your screen. This is there from Fox 11 in Los Angeles, giving us an update about a salmonella outbreak that has been linked to jalapenos. Now, according to the Associated Press, jalapeno peppers linked to a multi-state salmonella outbreak have been traced back to a grower in Sinaloa, Mexico, according to federal officials. We do know that at least 345 people in 27 states have reported getting sick.
345 people getting sick off of jalapenos?
From the salmonella strain linked to the jalapenos.
I thought it was going to be more than that, but since it is salmonella, it's a big deal.
Most have been in Minnesota and Colorado. At this time, though, thankfully, no deaths have been reported, but officials do say that 36 people have been hospitalized. And so to continue to give you an update here, we know that Chipotle and other restaurants have since removed jalapenos from select locations after federal and state officials traced this multi-state salmonella outbreak to that specific grower in Mexico. To talk a little bit more about what we're seeing and watching unfold here, I'd like to bring into the conversation.
So, wait. That's something that I've been waiting to hear. So I guess the jalapenos were also from Mexico. So the whole lettuce thing that we saw with Taco Bell and I forget what that other, it's like another fast food Mexican restaurant, like a Chipotle style, where the lettuce came from Mexico from the week prior to all of this, not last week, but the week before and the week before that as well. People were getting sick off this lettuce. I'm sure everyone heard about it. The jokes were flying around. And it was linked to lettuce that was sent from Mexico. And so when we were originally talking about this jalapeno thing, they weren't actually letting us know where the jalapenos came from. They were like, we don't know where it came from. We don't know. It's hard to track all this bullshit. It's like, all you have to do is look at the bill of ladings of these companies that order their shit. So I was thinking it's probably from Mexico. And sure as shit, it was from Mexico. We're just finding that out. At least me, I'm finding that out now. We got Mr. Al Patterson. Good morning to you, by the way. Kind sir, good morning. Appreciate you. And yes, 2 people have died. And VPS, what it was linked to, the 2 people that got sick and actually died from it, they had other symptoms beforehand. They already had some sort of troubles as well. And then, of course, so they already have medical problems. And then you add this shit onto it. Well, unfortunately, what probably ended up happening and what they actually reported, and I speculated, but I was correct, was dehydration. And that's exactly what they linked those 2 deaths to were, they had pre-existing conditions and they also, of course, got dehydrated. So anyways, here we go.
Infectious disease expert, Dr. Peter Chin-Hong, also a friend to the show. Dr. Chin-Hong, thanks so much for being with us here.
Ching-Hong.
Now from Fox.
What up, Ching-Hong?
Thanks for having me on, Christina.
Absolutely. So we wanted to call you up to get you here on the show to answer a few
His name is Ching-Hong, and he does not sound exactly like you would think, right?
Questions that folks might have about this latest outbreak associated now with jalapenos, salmonella. For those who are not familiar with what this actually does and how it can make people sick, can you explain a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so salmonella is a bacteria. People might have been hearing about cyclospora as well. Cyclospora is a parasite, salmonella is a bacteria. And the reason why that's important is that it's easier to trace, it's easier to fingerprint. The way it makes people sick is very similar to other diarrheal diseases. You eat it, so from contaminated food, it can get into the stomach, it can get into the intestines. And apart from causing watery diarrhea like cyclospora, it can also cause bloody diarrhea. And the reason why
Ooh, bloody diarrhea. Ooh.
why it can be deadly in some people is because it can get inside the body, cause fevers, affect other organs.
And so as we've heard there and seen from that tweet, we do know that several restaurants are now taking it off the menu in order to keep people safe. And so you did talk about some of those symptoms and the severity of those cases. How often does something like that happen where someone needs to be hospitalized? We know that 36 people, according to the Associated Press, have already been hospitalized for this. But is it really rare that it gets to that point of severity?
Yes, salmonella is not commonly, it doesn't commonly result in hospitalization. Most people actually get better without antibiotics. For people who have diarrheal symptoms and they go away within 3 days, we typically don't worry about it, even if it's salmonella. For those people who have more prolonged diarrhea, who have fevers, who have bloody diarrhea, who have signs of dehydration.
That's fucked up. So it would be really nice if we could actually hear the affected states that we're talking about here. But unfortunately, they're not going to put up a map, huh? So let's go ahead and let's see here. A growing salmonella outbreak linked to imported jalapeno peppers impacting over 20 states. Well, it's 27 states, leaving several people sick. And unfortunately, that's all they put there. They don't put hey, these are the states. This is the list. This is the map. Well, listen, we're going to, of course, keep our eye on all of these stories when it comes down to bacteria or viruses or any of that shit. Obviously, I don't want any of you guys getting sick like that. So that's why we actually do that. Okay, we have Hunter Biden says Joe Biden's cancer is spreading. And Hunter Biden is saying, quote, very painful and debilitating. He's talking about his father. Which actually makes me sad because I truly wouldn't want that for Biden or any of my oppositions politically or any of that. I truly don't want people to be sick or dying from shit. You know what I mean?
Thanks for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Chris Evans. We do have a bit of breaking news that I want to get to you here on this Saturday. A sad update that's coming there from former President Joe Biden. Putting this up on your screen as we have a live look at the White House. But this just coming in a short time ago that former U.S. President Joe Biden's prostate cancer has now spread to other parts of his body and is causing him pain, even as he continues to speak out on public issues, according to his son, Hunter Biden. That information came from an interview that Hunter Biden did with BBC broadcast late on Friday. Hunter Biden grew emotional as he discussed his father's condition, describing it as very sad to watch. Joe Biden, of course, is 83 years old. He was the oldest man to serve as U.S. president, and his age was a source of concern for many throughout his 4 years in office. He and his White House advisors have faced intense criticism for allegedly concealing the extent of his problems, especially after he was forced to abandon his bid for re-election after a disastrous debate with his eventual successor, Donald Trump. Once again, though, we did hear a little bit more from Hunter Biden, who said that the diagnosis has now been tough on the family. Hunter went on to say that it's really sad to watch. The only thing I'd say about my dad, about his health right now, is that I wish he would complain more because it's not good. The former president, though, did reveal his cancer diagnosis in May of last year, less than 4 months after he left the White House. But again, we're continuing to keep you updated with the latest information. But this all coming from former U.S. President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, in an interview now revealing that Joe Biden's prostate cancer has spread to other parts of his body and is causing him pain. I do want to put this up on the screen. We also have this tweet in from Fox News, shedding a bit more light on this situation. We do know that Hunter has described Biden's condition as, quote, very painful and very debilitating, but again, says that his father is, quote, still doing his thing, and says that his father is still going to attend speaking engagements. The former president, again, revealed that.
Oh, man, I can't even believe he would attempt at this point. I'm just going to be objectively, like, you were super struggling just a year and a half ago. And that's a long time when now you've had a huge downfall of health and all of that. And you had a problem a year and a half ago. Why even engage in any of that shit? Like, I don't know, man.
Aggressive prostate cancer diagnosis.
What's up, Brother Slim? Good morning.
Just shortly after leaving the White House. And so we'll keep you updated here on Live Now from Fox as we learn more if there's any other public reaction as well. And any other updates from former President Biden himself or his wife, Jill, they are on
Facts, Steve. Facts. All right, let's go ahead and move on into the next story here. And you may be right, by the way. They are broke. All right, so let's go ahead and get into Iran used months-old video of Supreme Leader as proof of life, they call it.
Denied.
Yeah, I mean, we actually just reported yesterday. Actually, I could pull it up for you guys on the fucking Discord because I put all the breaking news. Anytime we get any type of reports, we have a breaking news area in the actual Discord. Let me see if I can pull this up for you guys. Let me see if I'll do it. Okay, so this is the Discord right here. And when you go into breaking news, I reported it was actually on 8/8. So that was Saturday. Breaking. Questions grow over Khamenei's, which is the supreme leader, condition. Reports say Iranian leadership may be preparing for his death. And yes, that was a major a lot of people were discussing that. Now, is he dead? Is there no, I don't think so. But I think that they are getting ready for it nonetheless. All right. So my camera's lagging, of course. Again, every time I bring up Discord, it does that to me. I don't know. That's why I have it shut down while I'm live streaming at least. All right. Let me reset my camera, but we're going to bring in this story real quick. I'm going to pull it up. Boom.
Now, there on the right-hand side of your screen, you are taking a live look over the Strait of Hormuz at this hour. And as we've seen for quite a while, not a whole lot of movement as we see the conflict continue. I'm going to take it full to give you a better look at where things stand. And as I mentioned, not a lot moving. Iranian officials, though, have once again issued some fairly outrageous demands, saying that the Strait will not open until the U.S., quote, corrects its behavior. This is a post coming in from Iran International English. Take a look here. And essentially, it's a statement from Iran security chief carried this weekend by Iranian state TV, and it reads in part, quote, correcting its behavior means that Iran must never again be threatened or humiliated. Aggression against Iran and its allies must end permanently.
Sorry to hear that.
The naval
It's
blockade
terrible.
must be lifted. U.S. naval and air forces must withdraw from around Iran. War damages must be compensated. Sanctions must be lifted, and Iran's frozen assets must be released. He added, quote, the Supreme National Security Council will never back down, whether in war or in negotiations. So again, some outrageous claims that are coming in.
What's up, Chad and Stacks? Good morning to you. Happy start to the week to you.
Essentially asking for a lot of things that President Trump has said are just not going to happen. In the meantime, I want to bring you to another post that's coming in here. And this is something that we heard about, I would say, just a few hours ago as essentially Iran, their news, they're sponsored by the Iranian government, shared video that claims to show Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei for the first time since he was named as his father's successor. And that is a still image there on the left-hand side of your screen coming in from that video. But our buddy, Jason...
yeah, I was about to say, but it was found out to be old.
Brodsky over at United Against Nuclear Iran posted very quickly, this footage is old from before the war. It was first circulating in March. It's telling that Iran's regime's Mer News feels the need to circulate old video of Mojtaba. Now, again, there's a lot...
Well, it's one thing to circulate old video, but then to try to pass it off like it's actually happening right now, that's the difference.
A lot to discuss, as always, so I want to bring in a great friend of the show here. We have Eylon Levy, who is the former Israeli government spokesperson. We carried his...
And I really don't care about his opinion too much, by the way, but I will let him get off the very first response that he's got, because I'm just objectively interested in what he would have to say.
Here on Live Now from Fox, and he joins us quite a bit to break down the latest developments. Eylon, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us, as always.
Hello, Josh. Good morning. Good night.
Yeah, this motherfucker is as biased as they come. So just be prepared for that. And see, listen, we follow the facts, right? And if unfortunately there is no facts to really report other than the recent reports of his, Iran preparing for the Supreme Leader's death, I mean, that is objectively factual that those reports came out. Right.
It is where you are.
That's what I always say. All right. So first off, I want to start.
Oh, shit. Real quick. We got Steve Posey coming in with the membership, by the way, for 21 months. He says, guess I should say good morning, IWF. Yes, sir. Appreciate that. And good morning. And thank you for re-upping on your membership, my man. Hopefully you've enjoyed those 21 months so far. And here comes for another 21. Absolutely.
Asking you about that alleged video that was released. Of course, we quickly heard that it was not recent. It was from...
What's up, Beezer? And by the way, yes, you guys don't have to like all the craziness that's going around, around the world right now, but you guys can like the video for me and what we're doing here. So hit the like button if you guys are on the horizontal side. Double tap that screen if you're on the vertical. I very much appreciate you guys' engagement.
Back in March. So to have Mer News and the Iranian government releasing these images, this video, trying to show that Mojtaba is alive and well, what do you make of that?
Yeah, Mojtaba Khamenei is clearly not calling the shots inside Iran.
Of course not.
Either he is horribly injured or disfigured, or he's being held as a prisoner of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. He has not succeeded his father's authority. It's clear that who's running Iran is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and they are making increasingly delusional demands. You said just now they're asking the United States, demanding a lot of things that are not going to happen. I think they're asking for a war, not for these demands. They think they're in a position to pressure, blackmail, bully the United States into withdrawing its forces from the Middle East, giving them reparations for the war, which is pretty cheeky if you ask me.
Yeah, I think the reparations are, I think what their Iran's, side is asking for is $300 billion in reparations.
Condition for opening the Strait of Hormuz. This is not a rational regime you can do business with. It's not a regime you can talk to. It's a regime run by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, who are hiding their supreme leader. We think he's alive. We're not sure. Who are trying to essentially coax the United States into a confrontation.
All right, you're looking at that post once again coming in from I-24 News. It's an image that is circulating there, and it's part of that video. One thing that was
pretty cheeky
pointed out is, honestly, you can't actually see the right side of his face. It cannot.
I didn't know he was from the UK.
Be seen in any of that footage. There's been those questions about whether or not he is disfigured, if he's even alive. So we'll, of course, continue to follow that as we do. Now, one thing that I want to do is pop this up once again. I read this off the top, but it's a fairly lengthy statement asking for those demands. Is there any world where President Trump is going to give in to any of this? How is it that Iran continues?
The answer is no.
To make these out.
And now, because the answer is no, and they're unwilling to get off their stone either, we're going to be in this circle, just repetitive circle. Unfortunately, it's just a sad reality. I'm not talking about what ought be. I'm talking about what is.
Outrageous demands and thinks it's going to happen.
I don't see a reality in which the United States can accept these delusional demands. If President Trump accepts what the Iranian regime is demanding, it would be the most humiliating climb down in American history ever. I mean, just look at what the regime is demanding. You put the text up there on screen. They're demanding reparations for the war, the withdrawal of American forces, essentially leaving Iran's path to nuclear weapons completely free and open. This is insane, and the United States cannot accept it. But, you know, I think the Iranian...
Which I also agree that we shouldn't accept any of these type of demands. But unfortunately, there is no good answer of like, okay, well, then how's our exit strategies going to be? Well, that's the problem. That's exactly what we've been pointing out since before the war even started, is that the exit strategy, I just don't see it. You know, I see another Afghanistan or Iraq situation, and it's going to kind of boil down to ego. And unfortunately, it is what it is, right? So anyways, I want to see what Bilaz News or whatever, however you pronounce it, put out. It says Iran executed 71 in July. So 71 people in July. According to Iran Human Rights, Iran carried out at least 71 executions in July, including 6 protesters. The group says 444 executions have been documented so far in 2026 alone, while only 67 were publicly announced by Iranian authorities. Wow. All right. There's our latest numbers on that. All right, let's go and move on into the next story here. We've got a lot to cover, and we're already fucking almost 30 minutes through. Russia, Ukraine exchanged deadly overnight strikes. I think this happened on Saturday night, by the way. We're trying to catch up to current time right now because obviously we do everything with a chronological timeline. So
thank you all for staying with us here at Live.
And we're not even going to play this whole thing, but we are going to get the top off.
From Fox, let's turn our attention now to the developments in the Russia-Ukraine war. As you know, major news this week. I'm bringing us out to a live image of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C.
Why is she so quiet?
The U.S. Senate did pass a sanctions package against Russia. It does come as just yesterday, we also showcased the fact that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky beginning bilateral talks in Serbia with the leaders there. Zelensky also issuing this a social media post, including a photo of him with the Serbian president, or the prime minister, I should say, in this specific photo. He says this: I met with the prime minister of Serbia. I briefed him on the consequences of Russian missile and drone strikes, including another massive attack overnight. He went on to say also that he is...
So real quick, I do got to answer this. So Virginia Chaos, one of the biggest things, I know this may come as a shocker to some people, but if you guys noticed, when I was the campaign manager for the guy that was running for state senate here, I never missed a show, you know, and I think I did miss one show, but unfortunately what it was a Saturday, and it was a Saturday morning event. And so what I did is, instead of doing something, you know, I told everybody, I warned everybody, hey, listen, we're going to have to do members only on Sunday. And so that's the only thing that we ever did. But anyways, the point is I even told JR, I said, listen, you know, I'm, as much as I love being involved in all this shit, I'm going to be honest. This is my bread and butter. So I will never, you're going to have to work around that schedule. And he's like, no, dude, I totally 100% respect it, understand it. I'm like, listen, by the time it's 11:30 in the morning, I've got the rest of the day anyway. So it's like, you know, but let's just work around that schedule. And, that's going to be the same way as much as possible once I'm in.
Grateful to Serbia for its decision to allocate 2 million euros to support their energy sector.
What's up, Ms. Lotus?
We also spoke about Serbia's participation in the reconstruction of Ukraine. Thank you for your readiness to contribute.
We got Desert Outlaw as well.
To the recovery of one of our cities affected by the war. A lot to discuss. So joining us next into the program here is Peter Duran. He is an adjunct senior fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Peter, good
morning. Another FDD guy.
Good morning, Carol.
Let's see.
Always good to have you here. Let's focus a little bit on this trip that Zelensky is having in Serbia here. Because what's interesting is that Serbia doesn't have a bad relationship with Russia or Moscow. In fact, they get a lot of their energy supply from Russia. So I know that Serbia is trying to balance this, supporting Ukraine while also continuing to get energy from Russia. Can you break down this dynamic, first of all, and why it's important for Zelensky to be in Serbia?
Well, this certainly demonstrates a remarkable amount of diplomatic out-of-the-box thinking by the Ukrainian side. It's very important to recall, however, that Serbia has been a cat's paw for Russia inside Europe. They're not in the European Union. They're not in NATO, and for good reason. They are closely aligned with the Russian intelligence community, and oftentimes the Serbs operate at the behest of Russia. So to see this opening from President Zelensky is encouraging. Notice that they set the bar pretty low here.
Listen to the way he's speaking. It's almost, to me, I know he's not meaning it this way, but it almost comes off as like condescending, you know?
This is the first step, a baby step, but it also shows that Ukraine is looking at all of its options as it continues to wage its very aggressive economic war against Russian energy infrastructure, Corella.
I just want to go back to that social media post. This is the photo of
It's like, you ain't got a lot to kick it. Why are you trying so hard?
Zelensky with the Serbian president. And to your point, Peter, as you were saying, Serbia actually in the process of trying to join the EU. That has been stalled because of their policies towards Moscow. And also, Russia last year accused Serbia of exporting arms to Ukraine through NATO member states. They described the move as, quote, a stab in the back. And it comes as Serbia is promising Ukraine to help them rebuild. What is Russia's stance on this entire situation, this meeting with Zelensky there, with the prime minister, the president? I mean, how are they taking this? What is Putin's response?
Well, it's certainly not a good one from Moscow's perspective. They have worked for decades in order to establish not just influence, but very significant elements of.
Well, yeah, we know that. We know that aspect. You don't need to reiterate that. And unfortunately, they didn't even put a freaking like actual numbers down or anything. Anyways, we're going to move along. We don't need the FDD dude over there letting us know what he thinks. Okay. All right. We got the top off. All right. Fauci contempt vote leaves DOJ options. So as you guys know, the Senate committee voted to hold Fauci in contempt of Congress, not in contempt of court, obviously, contempt of Congress. And Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky pressed the contempt ruling. And of course, as you guys know, it passed. So now it's going to the DOJ, and the DOJ basically gets to decide how they're going to deal with that. So let's go ahead and see. We'll get a little bit of this as well.
We do want to transition now to some other top headlines that we have been following here this week. And as you remember, we brought this to you live as it was unfolding. But on Thursday, a Senate committee voted along party lines to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress over his refusal to answer questions at a hearing on his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, setting up a referral to the Justice Department for potential investigation over whether Fauci properly exercised his constitutional rights. A department spokesperson confirmed Thursday evening that the department has received the contempt referral and is, quote,
See, I think Fauci and the rest of us, actually, all of us, I think everybody should just embrace their fuck ups at this point. That's what, and you know, this includes Iran, this includes Lebanon, this includes Yemen and the Yemen Houthi rebels. This goes for everybody. Hey, just embrace your fuck ups.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck ups when you have tomorrow's fuck ups to look forward to? You are a fuck up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
We shall always embrace the process here at Insane Wheels. All right, let's go and bring it up.
Reviewing it and will work with the Senate accordingly. Just for some more context here, as we're watching some video from earlier this week, the vote approving the contempt resolution came a week after Fauci invoked his Fifth Amendment right
What's up, Mr. Steiny?
against self-incrimination more than 100 times when he appeared before the Senate
111 times to be exact.
Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. I just wanted to share here a statement with you from Fauci as he explained last week his decision to invoke his Fifth Amendment rights. And he said he had good reason to fear the possibility of criminal charges, given what he said was Senator Rand Paul's determination to, quote, get me to say something, anything that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote, behind bars, unquote. A lot to discuss here. What comes next? To break it all down for us is Sam Marjovsky. He is an attorney and partner at Sam & Ash. Thank you so much for joining us here this morning, Sam. We really appreciate it.
I've actually never, and usually I know the people that they're bringing on, like I've seen them before, that usually they're reoccurring guests, but I've never seen this guy before.
Great to be with you. Happy Sunday.
Yes, a happy.
I got a question for him.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
Just an observation.
Sunday, and our viewers always tend to write in questions here to us, and I actually wanted to start off with this viewer question. I got this on my Facebook page. This is a question saying, how can someone be held in contempt of Congress when our Constitution says a person has the right to plead the Fifth Amendment? Could you just explain for us what exactly the Constitution says, Sam?
Well, it's pretty clear. You cannot be compelled to give testimony that would put you in a materially different position in relation to a future criminal prosecution.
What's up, No Grow? Good morning.
Right? You can't literally testify against yourself and be forced to give evidence that could be used against you in a court of law. So the analysis, of course, here with Dr. Fauci and the testimony that he gave last week is that he didn't answer any question. Right. I mean, people are pointing out that he didn't answer a single question. He was asked about his tie color. He was asked questions that had
right. And with the way that the fifth or pleading the fifth, right? You can't just take that at any stance. It has to be it has to be self-incriminating, and B, and so Congress and or court can say you can't plead the fifth on that. We're forcing you to answer. And then if he still doesn't answer, then that's when you're found in contempt of court and or Congress, depending on which one we're talking about. But this is Congress in particular.
Nothing to do with his criminal culpability, and he flatly, refused to answer every single question that he was asked. So, that of course is obstructive behavior.
But that's why they asked him about his, the color of his tie and shit like that, is because that's not, you answering that question is not going to be incriminating, self-incriminating at all. And so if you're unwilling to answer 111 times on, things that we're not every question was going to be incriminating, they can use it against him and say it's contempt of Congress.
Now, whether it falls into grounds for a criminal contempt of Congress, the law splits on that. There's some cases that demand materiality, that their answer really, a refusal to answer on an immaterial question is not.
What's up, Baked? Good morning to you. Happy start to the week.
Relevant. But the bigger issue, and I think this is where Fauci has a little bit of an advantage, unfortunately, is that he still, although he has a pardon, right? He has a pardon from, he got the Biden legal vaccine that preemptively shields him from any federal prosecution. But that's federal.
Yeah, he's talking about the pardon.
And, big news in the last 24 hours, there are a number of states banding together where the AGs have decided, including Florida, to open inquiries into Fauci. Based on the evidence that was revealed by Rand Paul, he could be prosecuted at the state level. And that means that he still would, even though he's got the pardon in place, I think have legitimate grounds to not testify and to invoke the Fifth Amendment privilege to prevent himself from testifying because he faces potentially criminal prosecution in other jurisdictions.
Yeah. Well, he may be. The thing is during, let's say if he didn't plead the fifth at all, and he would have just been 100% honest with the situation and told everyone how fucked he is and told the real story, he still wouldn't be in trouble. That's like the mind-blowing part. It's just like, come on, dude. Now you're going to get yourself wrapped up in this whole contempt of Congress shit. I mean, you're how old is he? He's like 80 some odd shit. Why not just fucking say what it is at this point, right? Anyways, these people don't have any of that in them. All right, let's get into this next story here. Woman and baby die after a boat capsizes in New York Harbor. This happened 22 hours ago, it's showing. And we have a couple of updates actually on it. It was I believe, a 27-year-old woman and unfortunately her daughter, a young toddler or something like that. Unfortunately, both died. So, also first, you know what we got to do? We haven't even done the money part. Let's just get that over with real quick.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
And for anyone that doesn't like it, listen, I'm just going to snack on this big ass
Man,
sandwich.
motherfuckers talk all the shit they want. But you see me, I'm sitting up here snacking on this big ass sandwich, not getting a fuck. Kiss my dick, motherfucker.
It is what it is. All right, let's go ahead and bring this up here.
We are following some breaking news out of New York City. This is a social media post from our Fox 5 New York team stating that a nighttime boat ride turned to tragedy in New York Harbor late Saturday when a vessel capsized, leaving an infant and a woman dead while 12 others were hospitalized. I do want to share a little bit more information about this breaking news coverage.
Sterling is asking, peace in the Middle East? No, not yet. Keep on waiting. You're going to be waiting for a while.
Right here, as we do know that this vessel capsized in New York Harbor near Liberty Island just before 10:30 p.m. Eastern time last night. Police pulled 14 people from the water. A 27-year-old woman and a 5-month-old baby girl died while 12 others.
5 months old. Oh my God.
Were treated for minor injuries. So the operator of the vessel has been arrested by the New York Police Department for reckless endangerment. Right now, we don't have
I'm going to guess motherfucker was drinking or something.
any word on when we might get a news conference from some of these agencies, but we are continuing to follow the very latest. And I also wanted to share this with you here. This is from the Coast Guard as they shared this statement right here as they are now conducting an investigation into this fatal incident. They said, quote, the Coast Guard is conducting an active investigation into the circumstances and cause of a fatal incident involving an overturned vessel near Liberty Island on the evening of August 8th. On Saturday evening, the U.S. Coast Guard, New York City Fire Department, and NYPD responded to a report of an overturned vessel in the vicinity of the Statue of Liberty with all persons on board going into the water. 2 Coast Guard Station New York boats, 4 FDNY and 2 NYPD boats, as well as an NYPD helicopter deployed to rescue the persons in the water. While all persons on the overturned vessels were recovered, 2 of the passengers, a mother and child, were pronounced deceased shortly after recovery. The remaining survivors are reported to be in stable condition. Following the initial rescue, the operator of the vessel was arrested by the NYPD for reckless endangerment. Coast Guard investigators are also determining whether the operation constitutes an illegal charter operation and are coordinating efforts in conjunction with NYPD. The Coast Guard...
And they better hope that they got their, you know, their I's dotted and T's crossed kind of shit. Yeah, you got to make sure that everything is correct down to your captain's logs, everything. You better hope, otherwise they're gonna really get you.
Coordination with the Coast Guard Investigative Service and the NYPD is conducting an active marine casualty investigation into the circumstances and cause of the fatal vessel capsizing. So a live look here from New York Harbor, and in fact, you can see the Statue of Liberty there in the distance as the U.S. Coast Guard is now looking into the circumstances and the cause of this fatal vessel capsizing that killed a mother and her 5-month-old baby girl. So what we don't know, of course, is whether the operation constitutes an illegal charter operation and, of course, what led to the boat capsizing. Right now, we are continuing to follow all of these.
And we do have an update on this whole thing. So that's coming out, I believe, this morning. No, it came out. Yes, it did come out this morning. So I might as well just play that real quick. We're going to kind of jump around. Because we were just on that, we might as well just finish it off. But here is the latest update from this morning. Like super early in the morning. This was like 3:30 in the morning for me.
And welcome back in. And you are taking a live look over New York City, where we are following a devastating story coming out of the Big Apple as a 22-foot speedboat capsized near Liberty Island on Saturday night, resulting in the deaths of a 27-year-old woman and a 5-month-old dog.
Man, it was only it kind of sounds like it's a private boat, but it's, I guess, owned by a company. But anyways, 22-foot speedboat.
Her 5-month-old daughter, while 12 other passengers were rescued from New York Harbor, authorities said, and this is some of the video courtesy of the New York Post.
Oh, shit.
You see of that speedboat there being hoisted away as the vessel operates.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out is like what company is it, like a charter company kind of thing where it's like, hey, you can have people come on and you bring them around, because that's almost like a private boat level. I mean, it is a private boat level, but I guess, they said that the operator was taken, and I'm only assuming he worked for a company and chartered out the boat.
Our 46-year-old Manuel Hernandez was arrested Sunday and charged with 13.
Dude, we got Mr. Steiny coming in, by the way, with the new membership, by the way. Humongous W's to you, buddy. Let's go. Shit. Very much appreciate that. Make sure you guys tune in if you guys are new members or got received members and all that. Make sure you guys tune in. Members only is Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Fucking good time. We don't even discuss any of this shit. We actually have a fucking amazing time.
Counts of reckless endangerment as authorities continue to investigate the cause of the incidents. What we want to do now is bring on Gabriela Ortiz with Fox 5 in New York.
What's up, Big Dan? Good morning.
Program here. Gabriela, thank you so much for joining us here today. So can you tell us a little bit about what we know about this investigation and some of the reporting that you guys are doing over at Fox 5?
And Dragon Classy, good morning.
Yeah, so from what we know in the situation, this was a supposed party that was going on this boat. I think a big question we all had is, what was this boat? Was this a tour boat? I mean, who was on this boat? And it seems
Is it like a little charter boat? Like, is this a privately owned boat? What is this?
like it was a surprise birthday party for a 41-year-old family member. They started in Randall's Island, New York, just going around, and they made their way to Liberty Island. And the way they describe the waters over here are the Wild West. As you could see, shipping containers in that video across, like, this is a very hyperactive location. Our waters here are usually used for dinner boats, dinner cruises, about 10 times the size of the boat that you just saw got pulled out of the water.
Which was what she's referring to is that speedboat that was 22 foot long.
And from what we know is that the capacity of that boat was only supposed to be 10, and there was 14 people on there.
Oh shit, they've fucked up in many cases here,
including Manuel. So there was, and anyone that's been on a boat before knows that really the capacity being 10 to 12 is already kind of like a big gap. Really 10 to 12 means more like 8.
Yeah, I was just about to say probably like more like 8 comfortably.
Most on board, and as you can see, just all those massive ships over there. There's massive currents that go on there, and from what we know is basically, I'm just going to read one of the accounts from one of the people. Is she said when they were heading back, they were slow, but out of nowhere, people started screaming, and they saw the tip of the boat start going down. And then within seconds, the boat went up, and when it went down, it flipped over. Everyone ended up in the water, and
I'm only assuming that they got caught underneath the boat, and couldn't make their way up.
There's footage of, the people just in so much shock coming out of the water. These waters are crazy. I'm surprised they even made it as far out from Randall Island. As I said earlier, there's ferries in these waters, there's shipping boats in these waters, shipping containers. It is not made for a little boat like that to be kind of roaming around over there. So from what we know is there was that 5-month-old and Sarah Sanchez, who was 27 years old aboard. They were pronounced dead. The other people were fine, in stable condition, but there's some horrific images that came out of just Sarah Sanchez's boyfriend, just distraught at the scene. We're still following what type of charges basically the captain is.
Well, the operator, because it doesn't even sound like, this is some captain level, like where the guy is actually licensed. I mean, 22-foot boat. I mean, if it's private, you don't even need a license. I mean, that goes for, it could go for a 47-foot yacht, I suppose, right?
He's going to face, from what we know right now, is that he is in federal custody. He's not.
See, what I would like to know is if he worked for a company and it was a chartered boat or something like that, or if this was a family member or something like that. But unfortunately, we don't have any of these details. And it sounds like that she doesn't either. Otherwise, she would have said it. So let me just read this. It says a 22-foot speedboat capsized near Liberty Island on Saturday night. And this report is actually coming out from this morning, by the way, resulting in deaths of a 27-year-old woman and her 5-month-old daughter, while 12 passengers were rescued from New York Harbor, authorities said. All right, so that is the update on that. Well, of course, anything that we bring up and present, we're going to do our best to follow anything that comes out from it. Anyways, we got to move on into U.S.-Iran latest. We got fighter jets patrol over the Middle East, as you guys would assume. And then right after that, we'll be getting into Netanyahu rejects that 15-point Gaza peace plan with Trump. So anyways, let's go ahead and bring up this first, and then we'll get into the rest of it.
Wanted to share this right here. This is from Fox and Friends, saying that U.S. versus Iran, Tehran issues a new list of demands to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
And we saw that list of commands, and we kind of discussed it a little bit earlier this morning. But they're definitely unrealistic demands that I just objectively, I don't see Trump going for any of those demands. So then we're going to be in this cycle again.
Including a permanent end to the war with Iran and its proxies, as Vice President Vance says Iran is hurting in a big way. And that is thanks.
What's up, Wildcard? Hanging out with us, by the way, and Seymour Cannabis. Good morning to you, kind sir.
To the reporting of Fox News correspondent Trey Yinks. A little bit more information on this as you're taking a live look at the Strait of Hormuz. This is courtesy of Marine Traffic. So we are continuing to follow major developments. This also as Yemen's Iranian-backed Houthi rebels today struck a government-held port on the country's Red Sea coast.
I love how they say it. They always say Houthi. Houthi. It's Houthis, but anyways.
Several people and deepening fears over threats to strategic Middle East shipping routes and a potential return to civil war. They also said that they attacked an oil facility in neighboring Saudi Arabia. All of this coming as Israel has rejected a deal announced by President Trump for Gaza.
Right. And we're going to get into that very quickly after this. But make sure, yes, like Naomi says, make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side. I know there's a lot of chaos, but you guys don't have to like it for that reason. You guys can like it for me and what we're doing here.
Details emerged on the potential deal between Iran and Oman on managing the Strait of Hormuz. And also the Pentagon is pressing the U.S. defense industry to accelerate weapons productions as concerns about shortages grow. So some of those are the major headlines right here that we did want to get a little bit more into. So as we just shared with you, Iran is now making new demands to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Iran and Oman, which bracket the strait, they are working to finalize a temporary deal that would reopen the Strait of Hormuz with ships entering near Iran and exiting near Oman. That's according to two people familiar with those talks who spoke on the condition of anonymity. Ships would transit without paying fees or tolls during the interim period. So this agreement is designed to restore an earlier separate agreement between the U.S. and Iran. According to two people, this deal is endorsed by Gulf Cooperation Council members. It is.
What's up, Mr. Jack Telcott? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat. Hopefully you're enjoying your start to the week.
Expected to be jointly announced by Iran, Oman, the United States, and the UN's International Maritime Organization. And today, Iran signaled progress on a plan to manage the strait. However, a lawmaker said transits by vessels belong to hostile countries would be prohibited. So we are talking about a lot of developments. This also as U.S. Central Command shared this, saying U.S. Air Force F-35A stealth fighter jets patrol the skies over the Middle East. We're going to be speaking with Michael Makovsky, who is the CEO of Ginza. He has been joined.
We don't need to do that. That's all we needed was that very top, off the top there. So anyways, let's get into Netanyahu rejects 15-point Gaza peace plan. So let's go ahead and bring this up, and I will also find the actual video of Netanyahu and what he said regarding this peace plan. I'll actually find it because I skimmed through this right before the show, and it doesn't look like they bring up that clip of Netanyahu at all. So I'll find it.
We do want to give a wrap up of what's going on in terms of foreign policy, what's going on in the Middle East, and some of the latest developments. As today, Israel on Sunday rejecting a deal announced by the President Donald Trump for Gaza. Details emerging on the potential deal between Iran and Oman on managing the Strait of Hormuz. I do want to put this up from the New York Post talking about Israel rejecting President Trump's 15-point peace plan for Gaza. This coming in from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, their first face-to-face meeting happening just about less than 2 weeks ago for the first time since Operation Epic Fury went into place. Let's be joined right now from the Associated Press, friend of the program, Konstantin Torpin. Konstantin, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. How does the fact that Israel now rejecting this 15-point plan?
Okay, real quick, because he didn't say it in English. Let me go ahead and bring over this, share this tab instead. All right, so I'll read out loud what he says because it's translated down here. Israel rejects the 15-point plan. I heard people say, you didn't say it. But here I am saying it again. Israel rejects the 15-point plan. The IDF will not carry out any withdrawal until Hamas is disarmed. And when I say disarming Hamas, I mean the heavy weapons, the less heavy weapons, and the light weapons, all the weapons. We're talking about real disarmament. not fictitious disarmament. All right, so that's him actually saying that. Let's go ahead and bring back over this. Give me a sec. I accidentally closed out of the share screen here. There we go. Boom.
For Gaza, complicate the entire region because Israel and Iran are so intertwined.
Yeah, I mean, you've hit the nail
You be safe out there, Naomi. Always appreciate you and your work.
on the head. We're talking about negotiations here that are sort of intertwined with the ongoing conflict in Iran, which itself is unresolved. And President Trump has been trying to sort of wrap up that conflict.
So, Mr. Steiny, here's the thing with the whole aspect of the shipping routes that you're talking about. Yes, there is a little bit of a change in the actual shipping routes. Let me see if I have the picture still. So this was the original one that they were kind of trying to propose, and obviously we rejected. Now Iran kind of held hard on this because they wanted to make sure that if they ran this shipping route, essentially that it would set a precedence that they're going to basically charge tolls. As you guys can see, the incoming traffic into the strait goes on the Iran side. It goes between Larik Island and Qesem Island, which is that big island right there in the middle of the strait. And unfortunately, this is what they have come up with, and our side and the Oman side is the light gray. But now we're seeing Oman having they're basically stabbing the United States in the back because now they're teaming up with Iran right now. They're almost at a deal to basically take over the strait between Oman and the IRGC. So there would be one lane going in through, like Iran side, and then the outbound would be the Oman side. So each side would get 50% of the business and they'll both end up tolling. That's what is happening objectively. And so, yes, there is that middle shipping route that no one's showing, that it's not even showing on this either. That is the international lane. But unfortunately, as you know, none of those are being traveled. But yes, that map has been changed around a couple of times. Now the actual current map doesn't show the lane going through Larik Island and Qesem Island anymore. So a lot is changing. It's ever evolving.
And all of this is becoming both a geopolitical problem as these conflicts go forward, but also, domestically, you're going to see these issues become a political problem for the Trump administration. And so, pressure is ramping up on them to sort of wrap that up ahead of the midterms.
Yeah, and obviously the midterms are the deadline, but this moves at its own pace. President Trump also moves kind of at his own pace. Are we seeing any updates to the Strait of Hormuz? Because we saw some attacks on the Red Sea, the Bab el-Mandeb kind of side. Are we seeing any developments in the movement of that global commodity of oil?
Absolutely. The Al-Mandab Strait is what he's referring to, is the strait that's down there by Yemen. And the Houthi rebels, there's some crazy shit going on in the regards to the Houthis right now and Saudi Arabia. The Houthis actually just did a massive attack last night, on their second big attack within, I think, 2 days or something like that. It all happened over the weekend. And I was reporting it in the Discord. Now, the mainstream media, as far as I can tell, hasn't really talked about it. So I wrote it down all into the Discord, where I break news in there, because I break minute by minute news. And watching the Houthis right now, this escalation in the Middle East is humongous in the regards to the Houthis and Saudi. And right now, we may even see to the point where Saudi puts some troops on Yemeni's soil. And it's getting bad out there. We're starting to see like what, the Great Middle East War.
No, I mean, if you look at the data from folks like Lloyd's, which is a company that tracks merchant shipping, despite sort of the assurances from U.S. Central Command and the Trump administration, the straits are.
What's up, Hedgie? Good morning, by the way. Great to see you in the chat.
Open, and even they're negotiating of a sort of an alternate channel for shipping that skirts the coast of Oman. Attacks have continued, and folks like Lloyd's, their data shows that traffic is nowhere near the pre-war levels. We're talking, maybe 10 to 15% of what it was before the war.
Right. So it's about 10%. Usually through the Strait of Hormuz, you would see before the war was anywhere about 200 ships per day were going in and out. That's the vessel traffic that would go through the strait. Now we're seeing about 20, anywhere from 20 to 30, like Like, I think the highest I saw was a 28-day or 29-day or something like that. But nonetheless, yes, it's about 10% right now.
And Iran saying that they would not allow vessels linked.
Hey, Baker, appreciate the jewels, by the way. Thank you very much for that. Make sure you guys hit that like button, by the way. Very much appreciate it.
Quote, hostile countries to be moving through that key waterway. I do want to talk about some key topics back here at home from the Pentagon about what's going on with those conflicts in the Middle East and abroad. The U.S. Army on Friday said it's opening up test ranges to private companies, as they say, developing missiles, drones, and other weapons in hopes of buying them more quickly for use on the battlefield. This is the Army Secretary Dan.
See, I'm really surprised that the mainstream media is just kind of skimming over the Houthis, and they're not really paying as much attention as what's happening with, you know, the U.S. and Iran. I think it's important to look at the landscape of the Middle East, you know, because it's not directly involving the United States. The mainstream media here is not really discussing it like that. So it's unfortunate.
At a military testing range in Michigan that efforts will cut months and sometimes years of red tape that typically stifles military contractors. Constantine, how big of a deal is this for the U.S. Army, the military, to allow this?
I mean, it's certainly a big deal for Dan Driscoll, who's made sort of the.
So I really don't care about any of that. We understood what we needed out of that whole video. Let's get into some interesting news. We got a couple of things that we got to get into before we get back into the Middle East. Just a couple hours ago, Middle East latest, Iran vows to block U.S. from Strait. And so we got a lot of shit going on. And then, of course, there's a 7.4 magnitude earthquake that shakes Colombia and Ecuador, which is a humongous earthquake, by the way. And then we also have Powerball jackpot now topping over $900 million. I hope one of you motherfuckers get it. And then we have Tupac murder trial. That's what we're about to get into right now. Jury selection begins today, and this coming out 4 hours ago. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and bring this up.
All right, let's look ahead to some of the major stories that we're following today. A high-profile case we have here on the screen, a social media post courtesy of Reuters. It says nearly 3 decades after rapper Tupac Shakur was killed in a Las Vegas drive-by shooting, former gang leader Dwayne Keefe D. Davis is set to face trial for masterminding the 19...
Yes, it is officially overtime, by the way. VC is correct. Listen, you know what they say about overtime? No tax on tips, no tax on overtime? Send in your fucking money. Let's go. At bare minimum, let's get the likes up. You know what I mean? I'd very much appreciate that. Double tap the screen if you guys are on the vertical
96
side.
Murder. I want to put up here some video of the defendant in this case and refer to more reporting courtesy of the Associated Press. So Davis, who is 63 years old, faces 1 charge of murder with a deadly weapon with the intent to promote, further, or assist in criminal gang in Shakur's death. Today, jury selection begins. Now, Shakur, a little more background here, was shot in Las Vegas on September 7th of 1996. Prosecutors are not arguing that Davis is the one who pulled the trigger that night. Instead, they're trying to prove that Davis made the calls that led to Shakur's death and provided the gun used to shoot him. All right, a lot to break down here because it's a big moment. Again, 30 years in the making. So joining us next to talk all about this is Jeremy Rosenthal. He is a legal analyst. Jeremy, good morning.
Now, I like this guy. We've seen him a lot anytime we're talking about these kind of cases. But listen, I do have a question that I never got answered.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
But hey, it's all good. I'm just an observation.
Good morning, Kirill. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So I know that you have been following this for the last 30 years or so. I got to talk about one of the things that's most interesting about this case. So Davis...
Hey, VC, you be safe out there. I always appreciate
you. He was arrested in 2023. He has pled not guilty to this. This entire...
That's right, Steve Posey. He knows the deal. Sends in $2. Nice little 2 spot. Saying no tax on overtime. Yes, sir. Very much appreciate that. W.
Case, though, it really surrounds a memoir that he published called Compton Street Legends. I have to ask you first and foremost, Jeremy, you get a client like this, a defendant that has published a memoir of one of the most high-profile murders in history. What goes through your head here?
Look, the vast majority of people who are in prison, I don't know about the vast majority, but a lot of the folks who are in prison are there because of what they said. And that's why the Fifth Amendment is what it is. And that's why it's as important as it is. So that means people who say the wrong thing to the wrong person, confess, talk to police when they shouldn't talk to police. And more, you see people who say things online or who do things such as this. Now, this case is still pretty rare in that it's virtually entirely built on what an individual says. And there's only so far that can go. But clearly if it wasn't for this memoir, then he wouldn't be in this trouble. So that part of it is a little rare. But, as we say in the criminal defense world, silence is golden, handcuffs are silver.
Yeah.
Silence is gold in there, but I mean, clearly not too much silence here because there was a whole book published. I mean, you saw the cover there in this video that I've provided. The book says that Davis obtained a handgun from an associate and tossed it into the backseat of the Cadillac, but did not say who fired the fatal shots. And I think it goes back to this point. This happened over 30 years ago, Jeremy. There had been really, no arrests. Nobody knows actually who shot Tupac. That's not expected to be learned in this trial specifically. So when you look at this, I mean,
No, he's being charged. What they're getting him for is making the phone call that ended up leading to his death.
Are you able to tell? How would a prosecutor or the defense be able to argue whether the words said in this memoir are even true?
Right. So really, I think one of the linchpins in a case where you're trying to link a murder to a memoir or to public statements is how much of it matches the evidence, right? And not only how much of it matches the actual evidence, the actual physical evidence, how much of it is only known to the perpetrator. In other words, if Mr. Davis could read in the newspaper that it happened on the Las Vegas Strip and he knew that Tupac, based on the newspaper reports, was in a certain hotel or casino that night earlier, or he was able to sort of coordinate some different, add some different facts. If those are things that everybody has known, well, it doesn't really verify a whole lot. But if only police know, for instance, that Tupac was shot, I don't know, in a certain location, maybe in his...
It looks like that arrest footage was from 2023, by the way.
On the left side of his face or something like that, or on a certain part of his torso. If only that was known, for instance, and then Mr. Davis just happened to put that in his memoir, then that would be pretty important. If I'm defending the case, obviously what I'm arguing is that a lot of this is entertainment. It's hyperbole. And in the rap industry, that's pretty common, right?
I agree.
A lot.
Wild card, and every time that he comes on, he's got multiple sets of glasses like this. I mean, just radical glasses. And I've always kind of low key thought the same thing. That's so funny.
You have Snoop Dogg, you have Dr. Dre, you have a lot of those folks who have made a living off of selling records that are built on hyperbole, that are built on a lot of talk, which I think we all kind of know is at some level pro wrestling, but it's entertainment. So I think that a lot of jurors are willing to believe if Mr. Davis says, look, this was make believe, this was just sort of me entertaining. This is me selling books. This is me promoting myself. I think that there's a lot of jurors probably who would understand that. So I think that's kind of the interesting, back and forth here.
Well, that is an interesting take that he's at least bringing up. So anyways, let's see if they have anything else here for us on this. It doesn't look like it, so we're going to move on because we are way past into overtime and we still have a few more stories to get through. All right, so this morning coming out, Powerball jackpot tops $900 million. It says here Monday's $905 million jackpot with a $391.9 million cash prize will be 8th largest jackpot in Powerball history. Monday's drawing will be the 43rd consecutive drawing without a jackpot winner. The last Powerball jackpot was won on May 2nd when ticket holders in Florida and Texas split a $20 million prize. All right, so I hope one of you motherfuckers get this shit. That would be awesome. Let's get one of you guys in the chat that win this shit.
Welcome back into Live Now from Fox. All right, let's talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that is money. We are looking at the Powerball later on. Money. Today, because the jackpot for tonight's drawing has topped $900 million after no big winners on Saturday night. And we don't want to involve our viewers at home. We have a question here at the bottom of the screen. It's our poll question of the day. Would you take the Powerball lump sum or annual payouts?
I would end up, let's see, annual payouts, I would probably end up doing. I would probably do a lump sum if it were like 100,000 or 200,000. But if we're talking that kind of money, I think that you would save so much money on your getting it paid out annually. The only problem is you're relying on somebody, you hope that they're going to be around to send you that money for, for the rest of your life. And so I guess there's always a risk in everything.
Scan the QR code or head to livenowfox.com/connect and submit your answer. Now, of course, several news outlets are covering this major jackpot. One of those being our team, Fox 29 in Philadelphia. Hank Flynn joining us live from outside of a Wawa. Hank.
Like, I always think, what if like 20 years from now or 10 years from now, fucking you get these dummies there in Congress now, and now all of a sudden they've legislated that that the lottery is somehow, some way, now it's illegal. Whatever. And now all of a sudden it all goes to shit, or, I think the worst.
This is exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting, Corral, and you don't need to wait till the end, and the audience can say what they want to, but I'm going to go with lump sum payout. Life is short, Corral. You can invest all kinds of money. These are the kind of questions. It's sort of.
Unfortunately, no. Where I live, there is no lottery. I'd have to go to, some other state.
The inspired answers you come up with when the lottery gets up as high as it does. The desk has me standing out front of Wawa yelling about it. So might as well hit a couple of wish list items, Corral. I've never been a flash your cash type of guy, but that said, all right, number one, big house in the woods up by New Hope. That's right by the river, the Delaware River. 3 new vehicles, big comfy SUV, maybe an Escalade, Corral, a big, fast, powerful sedan, think Mercedes-Benz, and a rocket ship Porsche 911. Easy to get warmed up with ideas like this, Corral, when you're talking about $905 million. Powerball goes off tonight at 10:59 at about that amount or somewhere above it. So even after you pay taxes on it, it's still more than enough to cover your bets and those of everyone you love.
That's a big chunk of money right there. I believe that.
Hell yeah, cuz. Big chunk of money right there.
First and foremost, I would have to take care of my mother and father. They took care of me my whole life. I'd make sure they were both housed. Cars, anything they want.
Well, of course. I mean, I think that's what every person's answer would be, of course. If you want something like that, you're going to take care of your people.
And need it. And coming in at a very, very, very close second is my children. I got a 7-year-old daughter. I got an 11-year-old son. And I would put money away for them. I would get whatever they would want. I would definitely love to give back to the community 100% in any way I could. I would definitely not keep it all to myself.
They always find the best people to interview, dude. They always go for the. I mean, they're looking for content, as well.
Oh shit!
Let's not just interview the average guy. Let's interview a hood motherfucker.
Love that guy. That's a good job by him, Corral. You got to look after the people you love. Hard to be much fun otherwise. Take care of your family, cover your children, help your friends out. And don't be stupid, Corral. Live off of the interest and have money forever. Case in point. Getting back to where you started all this thing.
That's what I was getting at.
You want to take money over the years? What is it, 14, 15 million bucks per year over the years and pay taxes on that? Or do you pay a giant amount of tax on the whole lump sum when it comes in right now? Let's take that whole lump sum, Corral. Let's say it's $500 million. Drop that in the bank, 1% interest. And you'll be making a lot more than that if you save it. 1% interest, it's going to bring.
Yeah, and I would never just have that kind of money in the bank, sitting there making 1% interest. Man, I don't do that, and I'm only a thousandaire. Okay, you know what I mean? I ain't no millionaire. I ain't no 100,000aire. You know what I mean? I'm just a thousandaire, right? And so that's what I do. Is I don't let that shit sit in the bank. The fuck? What is 1% interest going to do for anybody? I mean, give me a break.
$5 million of income.
But he's right about the point.
The rest is yours. You'll be making more like 5, 6, 7, 8% interest. So what, 40, 50, $60 million a year before you touch the principal, Corral? Your life is a new deal. You're a rich woman now. What are you going to do?
You know what, Hank? I think I'm going to take the lump.
Yeah, I'm interested in what you guys would do. Would you guys take the lump sum, or would you take the payout where you get paid, annually for the rest of your life, or whatever the case is? All right. So listen, let's go ahead and move on. We got enough of the Powerball. Middle East latest, Iran vows to block U.S. from Strait. This coming out only 2 hours ago. So let's go and bring this up, figure out what is happening in regards to this.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. The time is 8:08 on the East Coast and 5:08 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'll be here for the next 4 hours as we break down all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. A familiar image there on the right-hand side of your screen, that's a look at a pretty much stalled Strait of Hormuz in the Middle East as we track all the latest on the conflict between the U.S. and Iran, popping up just some of the latest developments that are coming in. This is from the Wall Street Journal, as Iranian officials are now vowing to prevent U.S. Navy warships from passing through the strait as part of an agreement to reopen that waterway. The plan, they say, is to curtail America's military presence in the Persian Gulf, as President Trump has said that Iran's military has been decimated in this conflict. So just one of several
But they're
stories
still
that we're
standing.
following here on Live Now.
That's what we're
At the same
discussing.
time, Iranian leadership continues to disagree with the country's president, saying there should be no deal with the U.S. and Iran must, quote, destroy the U.S. first. Mohammed Naqdali, a member of Parliament's Legal and Judicial Committee, saying that President Trump's signature cannot be trusted. He added, and you see the quote there on your screen, quote, the United States wants to destroy us and we must destroy it. President Trump maintains that Iranian officials behind the scenes are begging for a peace deal, but seem to have a different message publicly, claiming that they are winning the war. As for the situation playing out with the Iran-backed Hamas terror group, I want to pop up right here a look at Gaza City. This is one of the many live images that we have coming into the newsroom. Now, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected President Trump's deal involving Gaza, with Netanyahu saying that Israel's military, quote, will not carry out any withdrawal until Hamas is genuinely disarmed. This is actually a post right here that I want to pop up for you to give you a look. It actually shows the quote from Prime Minister Netanyahu as he discussed all of this.
And I read you guys exactly what he stated. We did the translation and everything.
He said in
earlier,
quote, Israel does not accept the 15-point document. The IDF will not carry out any withdrawal until Hamas is genuinely disarmed, and it will continue to thwart threats against our forces and citizens.
Now, Netanyahu said that at the government meeting, but he didn't say that in the video. The video was translated, but it was very, very similar to this, but that was what they were talking about, Benjamin Netanyahu at the start of the government meeting, which he did say that. But then there's another quote that I had you guys listen to.
Jonathan Saye, a great friend of the show here with the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, joining us now live to discuss all of those developments. And
hey, Steve Posey, that totally makes sense as well. You know what I mean? You got to put it in context to your own life,
Jonathan,
right?
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Good morning, Josh. Great to be with you again.
And we really don't need to hear too much from Jonathan here, respectfully. Let's go and see what is being said here by Fox regards to the post on Israel rejecting this 15-point plan.
So it's not necessarily friction, but disagreement between...
I'll read it. Israel is rejecting a 15-point Gaza proposal put forward by the Board of Peace, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declaring that Israeli forces will not withdraw from the enclave until Hamas fully gives up its weapons. Netanyahu made clear Sunday, which was yesterday, that Israel would resist provisions in U.S.-backed proposals that his government considers unacceptable. Quote, it needs to be a genuine disarmament, not fictitious, not a disarmament, not a fictitious disarmament. When I say Hamas is disarmed, that means that the heavy weapons, the less heavy weapons, all the weapons, Netanyahu said. He said the light weapons.
Jerusalem and Washington. I think the president now noticing the situation in Iran is not going to resolve itself immediately, so he's looking for another short-term win or perhaps advancing a U.S. agenda in the Middle East. And of course, he's turning in.
Yeah, so I just see this as a constant loop where we're going to find ourselves in here. Let's see what looks like.
I actually want to pop up this response.
Yeah, I want to see this.
We talked about this off the top, where the question was how President Trump would react to Netanyahu's remarks. Barak Ravid, who we hear from quite a bit over at Axios, as he has so many sources, he says a senior U.S. official told me the White House, quote, is not bothered by Netanyahu's statement on the Gaza plan and sees it as part of the election season in Israel, which is exactly what you were talking about. He said, quote, we understand Bibi's political needs. We have no problem with it as long as he continues to do what we ask, especially regarding restraining attacks in Gaza. That's according to that U.S. official who spoke with Barak. Last week, Netanyahu spoke on the phone with President Trump's envoy, Jared Kushner, and promised to give the 15-point plan a chance despite his skepticism and curb attacks on Gaza so that the process of demilitarization of Gaza can begin. Again, that's according to that U.S. official. Since then, Israel has not conducted attacks on Gaza, and the Israel Defense Forces is gradually moving back to that yellow line. At the same time, the U.S. and the mediators are demanding that Hamas begins disarming. All right, my last question on this topic specifically.
Don't really need him to get into another question there. Let's see what else is here. The Wall Street Journal says Iran is vowing to bar U.S. Navy warships from passing through the Strait of Hormuz as part of an agreement to reopen the waterway, aiming to curtail America's military presence in the Persian Gulf. Very interesting developments there. Let's see what's happening with that. Hold on.
as we pop this up here, the Wall Street Journal says Iran is vowing to bar U.S. Navy warships from passing through the strait as part of an agreement to reopen the waterway, aiming to curtail America's military presence in the Persian Gulf. Does Iran have the ability to really do any of this? We know that President Trump has said that Iran's military, Navy, all of it has been, quote unquote, decimated. So does that power exist?
They certainly have been decimated. We know that for a fact. But as I've noted previously on your show, the issue with the Strait of Hormuz is that closing it is very cheap for the entity involved. Destruction is always...
Yes, it's we've explained that many of times on this channel about how it's actually easier to threaten the strait, because that's really what it is. And then you end up using 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 drones, whatever you need to make an example, and then just unfortunately, that's how threats work. And then people the international shipping is going to oblige by their, that. So forcing the strait to be open is 100,000 times harder than trying to close it down, which that is the leverage that Iran does truly hold. Now, this coming out from Iran International English. Groups of Iranians gathered on Sunday in Austin, Texas, Montreal, Canada, Sheffield, Britain, and Perth, Australia, to protest executions by the Islamic Republic. In Austin, protesters sang along to the song Iran, according to videos received by Iran International. And that's like their Iran International English is their, it's Iranian state TV. So let me see what this says here. Israel Foreign Ministry says the Iranian regime has appointed, I don't even know how to say his name, to its Supreme National Security Council. A former IRGC commander, Rezai, is subject to an Interpol red notice for his role in the 1994 AMA Jewish Community Center bombing in Buenos Aires, which murdered 85 people. The Iranian regime worships terror, rewards its architects, and promotes them to the highest levels of power. All right, interesting. That came out from the Israel Foreign Ministry there. And let's see what else is coming out here. We also already went over the Supreme Leader's presence, where they try to pass him off like that is what's happening today, but we found out this was actually from before the war. So a lot of fact checks going on with that kind of stuff quickly. And then we have now a 7.4 magnitude earthquake that shakes Colombia and Ecuador. Let's go and bring this up and let's get into this story here.
Welcome back here on Live Now.
This is a humongous earthquake, by the way. 7.4 is huge.
Fox, the time 9:53 on the East Coast and 6:53 on the West Coast. My name is...
And this just came out like an hour ago.
Josh Breslow, and I want to get
right before we started the show.
Get you right back into some of this breaking news that we have been following involving a 7.4 magnitude earthquake that hit Colombia and impacted parts of Ecuador. We are looking there at this shot out of Colombia. It was freezing earlier as there were issues with connections there. However, it looks like we are now getting a clear image as hundreds of people have evacuated different buildings and homes in that area. I'm going to pop it up full to give you a better look, as you can see just how many people, dozens upon dozens, are on the streets.
Oh, shit.
Now, this was a powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake that hit Western Colombia, shaking the South American nation as well as neighboring Ecuador and prompting those people to evacuate as quick as possible. Now, the epicenter was about 250 miles west of Colombia's capital of Bogota. That's according to the U.S. Geological Survey, the USGS, as well as Colombia's counterpart. Now, the USGS said that it struck at a depth of 66 miles, which is the equivalent there of about 107 kilometers. The Choco governor said on social media that in the regional capital, quote, there are injuries and serious damage to buildings, but no additional information has been released about the casualties there, the injuries that have been reported. And of course, this is all unfolding at this hour. So as far as damage, it has not been assessed just yet, but a lot of people are going near their homes and buildings, trying to see what damage does exist. Now, this earthquake follows two back-to-back major earthquakes, 7.2 and 7.5 in Venezuela. And that was several months ago, back in late June. Those earthquakes destroyed hundreds upon hundreds of buildings, and sadly, more than 5,000 people died as a result. Again, you are taking a live look here over in Colombia as dozens, hundreds of people there have gathered on the streets. They are taking photos of some of the damage left behind, but also trying to reach out to loved ones who are maybe in other parts of Colombia and Ecuador or in other countries to make sure that they know that they are safe, but also that the situation has happened. You can see several folks there on their phones is not just taking photos, but also, again, making calls as they take to the streets, evacuating the homes and buildings there. And this is another post from the Associated Press at this point saying a powerful earthquake shakes Colombia and Ecuador, prompting people to evacuate homes and buildings. What I'm going to do right now, just because we have this live feed that's coming in, I really want to pop up the audio for just a second so we can listen in to some of what's going on. Take a listen.
They almost look like travelers. You know what I mean? Like everyone just walks around with a backpack? Hey, Virginia Chaos, are you still in the chat? I got a question.
All right, so again, you're hearing the background noise there, cars honking as folks are trying to get out of the area, but also, again, hundreds upon hundreds of people that are out on the street as they evacuated homes and buildings after that 7.4 magnitude earthquake. It did hit about 250 miles west of Colombia's capital there. That's according to the USGS. And what you're looking at right now is a live look that appears to be coming in out of Bogota. That is, of course, the capital there, as folks are kind of assessing the damage for themselves, but also staying far away, trying to get in touch with their different family members and friends, making sure that they are okay. Again, we heard from officials that there are some injuries that have been reported, but no further details have been released. It is still early on as all of this is just happening here live. And we, again, have these live images that are coming into the newsroom. We'll keep you updated as we get additional info.
And of course, that's what we're going to do here as well. We keep everyone up to date with everything that's happening. And the reason why I asked if Virginia Chaos is still here, I'm going to do it anyways, but I'm going to let him know that this happened. So he sent 3 donations like within the last couple of weeks that got held up because of the comment that he used in Cash App. So this one got held up, and this was the last one that he sent that got held up, I think. And it's still fucking, you know, this one's the only one that's going to clear. The other 2, just count that money gone. But anyways, he sends in $5, says, fuck Iran TV, American TV only for my funds. Hey, well, I very much appreciate you. I'm sure Cash App appreciates you as well, Virginia Chaos. All right, my man. You guys, I can't thank you guys enough for allowing me to do this Monday through Friday, obviously. And then we have members only on Saturday morning to be able to give back, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back tomorrow morning for more of the World's Madness. Until then, God bless you guys. Be safe out there. Much love, honor, respect, everybody.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul, with a heart of steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on 2 wheels, ready to claim his throne, amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar.